Hey everyone, it's Jade and welcome back to my channel. As always, thank you guys for watching. If you're new here and you like what you see, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like, and hit the bell to get notifications for any new videos that I will post. So far, I've been doing a good job sticking to my posting schedule for this channel for Mondays and Fridays, so let's hope I can keep it up. Anyway, right now I am journaling my introduction spread for the month of February, and it actually took me a while to figure out what I wanted to do. I didn't want to do the typical Valentine's Day thing. So I was like, God, can I get a little inspiration here? I don't know what I want to do. And I actually happened to be looking at this woman's flip through on YouTube. And she had these gnomes in her journal that I think they were like cutouts from magazines or something like that. I can't remember. But I was like, that's it. I'm going to do, because when I saw the gnomes, this phrase immediately popped into my head, and you'll see what that is later. And it was from a show that I love on Netflix. Excuse me. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do a gnome thing. And so I pulled up some references of like gnome homes and gnomes to get this thing down. I kind of pictured it in my head. And I actually ended up really pleased with the way it turned out. So here I am just getting the house drawn first, and I decided to go big and span it across 2 pages instead of trying to contain it to one. This wouldn't have been able to fit on one. And as you saw earlier, I was having trouble with that chimney that they had on the home that I used for reference. So I ended up here just doing a little simple cylinder-ish chimney. And on the side here is where I begin, this first side is where I begin drawing my first gnome. And this one, the one that I used for reference, he was sitting down, which I thought was cool. Wasn't your typical like standing gnome or anything like that. I saw another one too, was really cute, of a gnome laying down. But I did go with this one. And I thought it turned out really cute. And what's funny to me is that the gnome thing, like when I told you I saw the gnomes in this lady's journal, and like this phrase popped out at me, and it also spiraled into me remembering a friendship of my granddaddy, his best friend. His name was Hoogie. And they were cousins. Everybody, like where I grew up, there was this road. It was like a circular road. And pretty much everybody was related to everybody in some way, shape, form, or fashion. And so they were definitely cousins. And they literally lived up the path from one another. So like behind my grandparents' house, there was this huge garden that they took care of, that they created or whatever. And I used to love to go out there with them and help in the garden when I was a young kid. And to this day, that's why like morning glories are my favorite flower, because we'd be up early out there with them. And I mean, the morning glories are just beautiful colors, these brilliant pinks and these deep purples and these beautiful blues, and I just love morning glories. But anyway, my granddaddy and Hoogie, like from the garden, there was just this path leading straight to his house, and my granddaddy and Hoogie hung out every day, and you know what their spot was Hardee's. You don't know what my granddaddy was. If he was with Hoogie's, he was probably at somebody's Hardee's. So anyway, I got them down, and it's funny actually, because the gnomes ended up reminding me because they did remind me of my grandfather and his best friend. The dwarves from the Hobbit series, the desolation of smoke, however you say it. I think I've mentioned this before, so you guys know how much I loved it. Like, I used every time it came on, I used to watch it. And out of that trilogy, that was my favorite. So here I am just getting all of my stuff inked up. I'm using a .03, a thin fine line or uni pen to get it inked up first. Again, I like to do my inking in a thinner pen when I first do it, and then when I go back over it, I'll use something a little thicker. And guys, I want to apologize for my voice. I don't know why I sound so funny today. Perhaps I was helping to clean up, but even though the workers still have more stuff to do, thank God they're not here today. There's a lot of dust, so it was, getting things put back and from where the section that they finished put back and cleaned up. And so maybe the dust from yesterday is affecting my voice. I'm not quite sure, but forgive me. We're gonna get through this anyway. So again, I'm just inking up my picture here, and yeah. It's funny too because I've had a fascination with drawing mushrooms for a while now. And I used to draw them a lot in high school because it was this girl in one of my classes I was cool with. She was a little younger than me. But one day, she just drew this mushroom in like my pad or something. I can't remember. And I was like, oh my God. Her name is Heather. I was like, this is the cutest thing ever. And so I made her teach me how to draw mushrooms. And I used to love drawing them ever since. Like, I even have them in my little senior book where I drew this mushroom. Or no, I think, because I made her teach me how to draw the mushroom. And she knew I loved it so much. And that I was practicing and doing my own, the way she taught me how to draw them. That, because she was a junior when I was a senior. That, of course, all the seniors, they get their little senior books and then the yearbooks and stuff. But the senior books is specifically where you can, like, write down memories and add pictures, your own pictures and things of that nature or whatever. And she was so sweet and kind, and she drew me this huge mushroom, and it is still in my senior book to this day. I'll pull it out one day and show you guys the mushroom that she drew me. But from then on, I was like drawing mushrooms like her. It was so cool. Although this one is very similar to the one that I referenced. But yeah, I've loved drawing mushrooms or mushroom drawing since then. I don't do mushrooms as far as eating them. That's just no thank you. I don't like the consistency. So I just gave y'all a whole spiel about mushrooms. Anyway, here I am finally starting to color in my scene with the Crayola Super Tip markers. I just wanted to kind of keep it simple, so I didn't pull out my color pencils this time. I just used the Super Tip. And as I was doing the drawing, coloring it in, I was like, oh, this ended up being darker than I wanted it to be as far as the colors I used. I was expecting it to come out a little lighter, especially the door. I used a dark brown, the regular brown, but it ended up like coming out really dark looking. And I was like, dang, this part was not really what I pictured as far as coloring it in. But again, I've discussed before how I really need to work on my coloring and shading for these type things. See that dark, really dark brown that's coming out on the door? At first, I just really didn't like it. But once the honestly, once the colors kind of settled and weren't so, I guess, wet still, I actually ended up really liking the way that it came out. So I think to stop giving myself such a hard time with things like that. And yes, while I do still need to learn coloring and shading, I need to stop being so hard on myself as far as the way things turn out, because eventually I actually end up really liking it. So here I am coloring in my little gnome boots here. I'm just call that gnome Granddaddy right there. That's Granddaddy Gnome. And just using a dark teal here, I think the color in his, what do you call this? Shirt, dress, whatever, and some red to color in the hat as well. And I use the same colors on the other gnome. We're going to call him Hoogie. And they just a little mixed up. Like the hat will be teal, whereas, and the boots, whereas, I just kind of did them a little opposite as far as the coloring. I didn't want to pull out completely different colors and just add a whole nother color scheme to it. I was trying to keep it simple as far as the colors. So yeah, that's what you see here. I'm just kind of coloring in everything with those super tips. And I actually really like those markers. I have to see about actually using them, because I know a lot of people use them for learning brush lettering as well. And that's what those Crayola books, they expect you to use, I think, the super tips. So yeah, I definitely need to dig those out and start practicing. I'm still so overwhelmed with all of the things that I want to do and learn and try to get done in a day, and I need to stop overwhelming myself with things. Anywho, so I got my gnomes all colored in, and here I'm just taking my white paint pens to, number one, add some highlights to my gnome's eyes over here, and also color in the little circles for the mushroom to make it stand out more instead of just leaving it the kind of creamish color that the paper is. So yeah, and those are the first pen I used just to dot the eyes was a white Jelly Roll pen, and here I'm using a Posca paint pen. I've had these for quite some time. I actually have a thicker version too, and I'm going to see if I can find a thinner version. So I'm just using this to color those in, do some highlights in the beard, just using things of that nature. And all of the tools and things that I use, I will link below in case anybody is interested in that. So, in case you have any questions or anything like that, that'll all be linked below. And finally, I'm getting down to the brass tacks of it all. I got the, what do you call that there? Grass filled in. And I'm drying everything just so I don't, because I am a notorious smudger of not letting things dry before I put my arm down in it, and it just completely freaks up the whole paint. You can kind of see where I got it messed up on the window a little bit, but that's why I pulled that, heat gun out to make sure everything else was dry before I started trying to letter here. And slowly but surely getting a little bit better with the lettering. It's a work in progress, and still trying to figure out different modes of shading and things of that nature with the lettering as well. For the most part, I again like the way that this turned out as well, and so I ended up with a cute little spread that wasn't very Valentine themed at all. I did put one little heart there to acknowledge it in the February. So yeah, and then in just a second you'll see, actually not just a second, in a few seconds because I am going back over my drawing. I love to do this. I have to go back over my drawing in a thicker pen. Here I'm using the 05 Uni pen because to me it makes it your outlining kind of gets a little bit lost once you start coloring and shading. So I like to go over it again to make it thicker, to make the images pop more once they're done. And this probably is also a part of the reason why I actually ended up liking it as far as the coloring and things of that nature at the end. So right now, just using that .05 to go over all of the lines and stuff again, and just make it stand out a lot more than it would have if I had just let it be. So yeah. And so I will get to explaining the end. Okay, the phrase that popped into my head was from this show I love on Netflix. It's an original, and they really need to drop season 2. But it's called On My Block, and there's this scene where Jamal is like, "GNOMIES!" And if you haven't seen the show, you really won't understand what I'm talking about. But it's freaking hilarious, and especially his scenes with those gnomes. So yeah, that's it, guys. Thank you for watching. I hope you had a good time. Comments or questions, leave them below, and I'll see you next time. Bye.